Well, what's up again there, guys? Brian here, the Three Topics Gamer, here to give you another episode of my weekly Q&A titled The People's Questions, or answer a series of questions that were sent to me over the past week. But before I get into that, I would just like to wish all of you out there a Merry Christmas, as this is a wonderful December 25th of 2020 when this episode is finally uploaded. So I hope you guys are having a great time opening your presents. And on top of that, if you probably sometime later today, I'll be sure to upload my own unboxing of Christmas gifts that I got this year. So keep your eyes out for that. And before I get into your guys' questions, I have to admit this episode is relatively special because this is undoubtedly going to be the last episode of the People's Questions for 2020, as the next episode will come on January 1st. And for this particular episode, I actually got a lot of questions. I think I got like 7 of them, and I think that's pretty cool. Almost everyone that sent in a question made it into the video, because all these questions were actually really good. So I do appreciate that. So just before we start answering your guys' questions, if you happen to enjoy this video by the end, please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up and press the subscribe button if you happen to enjoy this and would like to see more content for me going into 2021. And starting off with the first question coming from Brady Burke, and you want to know, what is the first thing I'm going to do when I get out of Vegas? Easy. Get a 2-bedroom apartment, get a dog, hopefully start dating, and hopefully get a good paying job that allows me to work in the field that I think I would feel happiest working in, instead of just working a job that just pays me well with good benefits. That's the very first thing I'm going to do when I get out of Vegas. Going into the next question, coming from Fanfiction Fanatic 2. You want to know, do I watch anime? If so, do I have any recommendations? Yes, I watch anime. A couple basic ones. I'm not going to go into any of the abstract animes that most people don't know about, but if you're not watching Dragon Ball or Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh or Inuyasha or pretty much the popular ones that if you're not watching those, those are my recommendations. If you'd like to actually get recommendations on animes that you may have heard of, let me know in the down below, and I'll be sure to let you know in the next episode. But yeah, those are just the ones. And those are the popular ones. If you're not watching any of those, give them a shot because they're popular for a reason. The next question comes from Shadow Decis Gaming. You want to know, do I think that America is slowly turning into a dictatorship? It certainly felt like it. Feels like it a little bit right now. We may have avoided it. Just seeing how divided everybody is and just how much they're willing to follow, a conniving lunatic like our current president right now. But hopefully things will turn around a little bit with when President Biden goes into office. It certainly did feel that way. There's always a fear of that happening sometime in the future. If that day does come, well, you can just kiss America goodbye because we will no longer value any of the initial values that made up this country if a dictatorship does take place. Because dictators, usually we don't look too well upon them. So for this country to be slowly turning into one, well, that makes us kind of a bunch of hypocrites, don't you think? So maybe it might happen. I hope it doesn't happen in my lifetime, but there's a possibility. Next question comes from Red Guilty. You want to know, what was the first game I ever gave a perfect 10 out of 10? I can't really say exactly what was the first one per se, but if we were going in order in terms of when they released, I would say the first 10 out of 10 game that I would have played would have been Super Mario 64 on the Nintendo 64. That is really the earliest 10 out of 10 game that I can call. And to be honest, that's actually the last Mario game I can recall actually beating. I tried some of the modern ones, and I think I quit after about an hour, so I actually did play maybe Mario Galaxy or the second one, and I think because I was playing it on the Wii, and I think the Wii was just not very good for platforming games, I just kind of quit and never went back to that game again. So yeah, I would say Super Mario 64 on the Nintendo 64. Next question comes from JBat. You want to know, do I think that GameStop retail stores will be around during the next generation of console games? Well, of course. You mean the current ones, or when the PlayStation 6 or whatever the next Xbox is going to be, whatever the next Nintendo. As long as there are physical copies of games, there will always be retail stores. I think if we enter a period of time where everything is digital, meaning PCs no longer have disk drives, and consoles don't have disk drives, and everything is purely digital, then you don't have a need for uh, retail stores anymore. And even for me personally, when I do go into retail stores, there are a couple of things outside of just pure games that I go in there to pick up. Maybe they have some, really cool collector's items, or some shoes, some shirts, or hats. I mean, in that capacity, that would be nice. But yeah, as long as there are physical copies of consoles, or consoles that have disc drives, there will always be retail stores that sell games. But once everything has gone purely digital, then they simply can't survive. Next question comes from GOG, and you want to know, what do we think of the Jedi Council from the prequels? Depends on what period of the Jedi Council are you talking about, because you don't really see too much of them. But they were kind of ignorant. They were arrogant. They did not believe that the Sith had returned. They were completely blindsided. They were not very focused on the Force themselves, and got too much, mixed up into politics. And they paid the price for that when the Purge hit them, when they completely didn't see it coming. Even though there were a number of warning signs, and there were probably a few Jedi that, I think, had they lived, they might have sensed this coming, might have changed a few things, and heck, maybe the direction of Star Wars would have been completely different. But overall, I would say the Twilight Jedi Council was just too blinded. Even Yoda themselves, their future had been blinded by the dark side, and they just could not see what was coming. And by the time it did happen, it was too late. And the last question of the episode comes from Eric, and you want to know, what time period would I like the next Assassin's Creed place to take place? Sometime in feudal Japan. I mean, if there's one thing I've seen, I read an article, it was like a couple of days ago, how fans wanted to actually play as like formal members of the Assassin's Creed Order. If you look at the past like 3 games, you look at Origins, you have Bayek, who really kind of started. So you could say that he was like one of the earliest members of what would become the Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. And then you go to Alexios and Cassandra. They officially are not assassins, and I acknowledge that, because in my opinion, the reason why I liked Odyssey so much was it was really more of a story that focused on the creation of what would form the Templar Order. And I like that. I like that when you actually have a story that actually focuses on the opposing side, than the side that we're most accustomed to seeing, which is always the assassin's side. And so games like Rogue and Odyssey really stand out to me. And then if you look at this most recent one, Valhalla, Evor, I can't remember the person's name, Evor or something like that. They technically are not a member of the Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. They may have a hidden blade, but I would not say that they are an official member of the Creed. And a lot of people would like us to go back and have a setting or play as a character that is officially part of the Brotherhood. And I think the next place that you could absolutely put that in is feudal Japan. You're entering an era where might have the introduction of ninjas, and ninjas are very built upon stealth and assassination, which would fit perfectly for the Brotherhood. So it makes sense that you would definitely have a element of the Assassin's Creed Brotherhood creed, positioned sometime in Japan or feudal Japan, or have like maybe a couple people. But yeah, that's a lot of people have been asking for a game to be set in Japan. I would personally like to have one set in Japan, especially since how amazing Ghost of Tsushima was. Which, let's be honest, if you're playing as the Ghost and you're using stealth, you're pretty much doing nothing but assassinating. So that kind of gives you like a pretty much a good feeling of what an Assassin's Creed game set in Japan could be like. So yeah, I would definitely say feudal Japan would probably be the best place to take the Assassin's Creed franchise next, and to play as an established member of the Brotherhood, not just someone who works and is associated with members of the Brotherhood but never officially joins them. And with that, that pretty much concludes this final episode of the People's Questions for 2020. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. And don't forget, if you guys have any more questions you'd like me to answer in next week's episode, be sure to type them in the comments down below. But make sure you get them into me roughly before next Wednesday, before I start filming the next episode. And also stay tuned, because later today I will be uploading a video pretty much unboxing all of the Christmas gifts that I got this year. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I'll see you next time.